Half of America is either diabetic or at high risk of becoming diabetic. With a diabetic pedicure, we need to do things differently. Now remember, the way I approach dry pedicuring is diabetic safe, all right? I want you to know the do's and the don'ts. That way we make sure our diabetic or our pre-diabetic has safe foot care. I also want you guys to say in the comments what you've learned about this. You guys, this is no longer an opinion, but safe foot care is not just about luxury. It truly is about sanitation and caring for those people.
Hey Erica, thank you so much. So let me tell you about our client today. A 50-year-old male who is pre-diabetic. And the first thing you want to do is to inspect the person's foot to make sure there are no wounds or anything like that. Because if so, you will not be able to pedicure this person. Next, you're going to take some flat back nippers. You see the way I'm pushing down on their toe? That is so that I'm making sure I do not clip that hyponychium. The last thing we want this person to do is bleed. Now, that's not something I just do with the big toe. That's something that I do with all 10 of those toes. When a diabetic bleeds, you don't know if they have circulatory issues or not. And if they do have circulatory issues, it's very possible for them to bleed so much you can't continue to service. So here we have two of Erica files. Both of them are the diamond nail files in course. One is full size and the other one is a mini. Now, when you're determining which one you should use, think about certain things. How big are the toes? Is there some space or areas on the sidewall that I need to get underneath and use just a little bit of the length of the file, or use the entire length of the file in order to properly shape the nail? If I need to take longer strokes, I'll use the full size file. However, if I know I need to use shorter strokes, or I prefer to use shorter strokes, I will go with the mini. Here we have one of my favorite bits to pedicure. It's the long and lean, which is a longer tapered barrel bit. I run this bit with a professional e-file on anywhere from 5 to 9 RPMs. Many times when people see the cuticle built up on the nail, like this example here, they want to instantly go in with the pusher. When you're dealing with a client that is diabetic or pre-diabetic, you actually want to stay away from the pusher. Again, if your hand is too heavy or you feel like you need to apply too much pressure, the pusher can go into the person's skin and cut and bleed them. This is why using the long and lean tapered barrel bit is the perfect tool. I'm also running this bit in reverse, which means I'm going to go from the left side of the nail over to the right. When I go from left to right, I tend to grab a bit more of the cuticle that's lying on the nail plate so I don't have to overuse the bit on the person's toe. I like to use nice sweeping movements and gently glide across the toe. If you notice, as I'm sweeping, I'm barely touching the nail plate because I don't want to cause rings of fire. But the flat part of the bit is right up against the cuticle. So the belly area is removing the cuticle, and that flat area is pushing back the live tissue. Zone 1 of the bit is gently pushing back the cuticle, while zone 2 of the bit is helping me to remove that cuticle that's laying on the nail plate. A nail brush will be your best friend when you're pedicuring. As you see, when we are removing the cuticle, it kicks up a lot of dust or a lot of skin debris. You continuously want to brush the nail plate so you'll have a nice clean surface and you know exactly what you're working with. Why the unicorn bit over a detail bit? Because it's a broader bit. It's not as sharp. It's a broader bit. It's not as sharp. This way you know you will not hurt the client. This way you know the client is receiving a safer service. With the unicorn bit, I use the same technique. I go from left to right, focusing on the sinus area. I use the belly of the unicorn bit, or zone 2, to gently push the cuticle back even more if necessary. Now you may say, is this when I pull up my nippers? And I'm going to say, absolutely not.
If you're still struggling with prep or want more confidence with your service, come learn with me. I teach live and online classes covering topics from dry manicuring to how to become a beauty educator. Plus, you'll also find other Erica-sponsored classes and certifications covering gel application and e-file shaping. Get connected, grow your skill set, and fall in love with the process again. Head on over to Erica's ATA and see where I'll be teaching next.
You don't need nippers. The only thing you need is the big E and extra fine. If your client is diabetic, or even if they're not, the skin around the cuticle can be very, very thin, and nipping can cause, again, cutting and bleeding. And for your client that's diabetic, for your client that's on blood thinners, for your client that's taking that aspirin every day for their heart, which also thins their blood out, nipping can cause cutting. That cutting can turn into a bleed, and that is the last thing you need. So with the big E, anywhere between 7 to 11, depending on the thinness of the skin or the quality of the skin, and forward in small circular motions. That is all you need to get that cuticle exfoliated from the nail. The same technique you use for the small toes are the same techniques you're going to use for the big toe. Now that you've cleared off all the dust using your brush and your alcohol, let's oil up these toes so we can see what a marvelous job we've done. This was a safe way to remove that excess cuticle off of the nail plate and to gently exfoliate the cuticle flap off of the nail. You can't tell the difference between this and actual nipping, and it's safer for the client. Now that we have finished our toe work, let's move into some sole work. What we have here is the spear, medium coarse. It's going to have a nice green band. You can do two things with this spear. You can use it all over the foot just to get the foot nice and smooth, or you could do some spot skin exfoliation. Here you're going to see me use both methods. Starting on the side of the foot, you're going to see me do some overall skin exfoliation. Because this is a diamond bit, you can move it back and forth. Lucky is she who has a dust extractor, because as you see, this bit does what it's really supposed to do and helps us to exfoliate that skin. What I love about the spear is that triangular shaped tip is really great for going into the grooves of the skin where you may see that cracked and peeling skin. So with the spear, again, you can do it for spot checks, or you can just use it as an all-over tool. Sometimes there's just that teeny little bit of skin that's just flying in the air, waving at you. The spear is great to just move it along. Now, when you're dealing with the sole of the foot, because we just talked about the sides, it's really important to make sure you are doing some small skipping motions and not laying that spear into the skin, because you do not want to cause any burns. When your client has a really textured foot with lots of folds, make sure you carefully inspect each one to see if it's just folded skin or if it's a fissure in the making. If it is a fissure in the making, again, use that sphere to gently exfoliate both sides of that crack or both sides of the peeling skin so you can reveal the soft skin below. The key is not to go too deep. Going too deep will thin out the skin, and if you thin out the skin, particularly if you're dealing with a client that is on the heavier side, it's very possible that the skin is so thin that it will actually bleed. And in that case, you've done more harm than good. So just a reminder, when you are working on callus skin, when you're working on fissures, you really don't want to remove any more than 40 to 50% of that callus. Now check out the bottom of this foot. It looks amazing already, and we haven't even started the hydration process. This is just using the spear on the sole of the foot to help exfoliate all of that peeling skin that was there before. Now, let's move into hydration. There's some characteristics with diabetic skin that you should really be aware of. One, the skin will be mottled, which means it won't be nice and smooth. It's almost like you can see the patterns in the skin. Also, the skin may be flaky and dry. Clients will mistakenly use Vaseline in order to hydrate their foot. They figure if it's shining, then it must be great. But that's not what we want. We want the skin to be soft and supple, and that's where PodoExpert Orange comes into play. Start your massage at the heel of the foot so that the bulk of the product will be placed there. From the heel of the foot, you can move up to the toes, and with the remaining product, you can go up the leg so that you can hydrate the skin of the leg, so that PodoExpert can add hydration to the leg and the foot. Your client will absolutely feel the difference. Now we're all done. Look at this. You can't even believe it's the same foot. Nice and smooth. The skin no longer has that mottled appearance.
Working on a diabetic foot is within our scope as long as we don't see signs of open wounds, inflammation, or any kind of fungal, all right? If we don't see any signs of that, then you're free game to work on that client. However, this is when I invite you to make sure you do additional education so that we make sure we are meeting the needs and helping our client, especially with diabetes. If you guys want more information like this, check out ericasata.com, go to our classes, and I would love to be with you in person as we walk through more diabetic care and really helping our pedicure community where it's not just the fluff and buff, but we're really making a difference in our overall clients' foot care. Hope to see you in the next video, and go ahead, for all those foot lovers out there, send them this video. Why not? It might help somebody. See you in the next video.